Okay, here's the deal. I don't do guides or tutorial on this channel mainly because when I try to explain things, I tend to talk in circles.
Dude, I get your point.
Okay, just to make sure you understand that I understand that you understand. Okay, chill, take it easy. Another reason is that I know there are other videos out there that can do better than me and explain it better than I can, and making one makes me feel like I'll be telling you pretty much the same thing. Most important of all, I'm not an expert in the craft and still learning myself. The videos in this channel are usually short and simple given that I practice and try my very best to upload weekly. And longer videos take a lot more time to make. However, I'm gonna make an exception for this video, and I'm doing this for several reasons. Number one, some of you have been asking for tutorial, and this will be my reply to when or if someone asks for a tutorial or a guide. Also, I believe in sharing experiences and enabling creativity, and if this video could help just one person, then it'll all be worth it. So if I'm making this guide/tutorial for this, I want to do them properly and hopefully fill in some gaps that maybe other tutorial and guide videos gloss over, while also showing you my current workflow and take in the craft of stop motion. Now I say current workflow as this video is published in the event of my workflow does change in the future. I don't know if or when that will happen, but I'm just putting that out there as a disclaimer. This will be 2 videos in 2 parts, and there will also be timestamp here and also the description down below for them both. The first part, that is this video, will be focusing on my thoughts and approach in making videos, from where to start, what to do, where to begin when you have your basic gear. Next, we'll talk about hardware on if or when you should upgrade, along with some alternative tools and resources that you can use. I'll also talk about my thoughts on frame rates, interpolation, visual effects, and once that's done, we'll wrap up with the methods that you can use personally to get good in filming stop motion. Part 2 will be focusing solely on the technical from pre-production all the way to post-production side. What hardware and software I personally use, and the alternative and some free options out there for you. It'll be more of a hands-on approach, and so if you don't care about my thoughts and solely interested in the moving parts that go behind the scenes, go ahead and watch that one when it's out. So here are the foundation principles that I apply to almost all my stop motion videos. To me, the most important thing in any video is story. People will generally ask, what is it about? When trying to make sense of something. So I always start with a story or a general basic idea. What do I want to tell you, my audience, and what you want to showcase to your own audience? If you're struggling with ideas, I find that physically writing or drawing it down does help sometimes. As an example, here's an idea or rundown for bodycoon changing keyboard switches. This doesn't really look like much of a script or a storyboard, but because I understand the sequence of movement and I know that stitching them together can form this text that you see here into a video like this. Let's take another instance. When this video with Figma N was made, I started with a very simple idea. I wanted to showcase Figma N, but there's already a bunch of review videos out there. I simply just wanted to show her off with my own take in it, so this is how I came up with it. If you have an idea, test it out. If it doesn't work out as you hope, you might learn something from it, and if it does work out, then that's great. So start when you are. Now, if you started like how I started, you probably think, well, I need more lights, maybe I should get more one of these things, maybe I need more gear, more peripherals, or maybe you think I don't have anything to start with. I don't have this or that. Just remember this. When it comes to hardware, just use what you have. Just like how Casey Neistat explained in his own video.
I have a simple rule for when it comes to hardware, and that is always use the very best camera you have at your disposal.
If your best camera is a point-and-shoot DSLR, well, then use that. If you already own a DSLR but you know that your phone is a better job for it and you're more familiar with it, then use that instead. Okay, maybe you're asking, when should I upgrade? Maybe you're already using the best gear you have right now and you've been thinking about upgrading. Maybe if I have better camera, the video will look better and my production will be better. The short answer? Yes. I'm going to use myself as an example again. I switched from the iPhone to the DSLR because the image looked just that much better. It was a night and day difference. However, after getting used to the upgrade, I noticed it was more or less the same, and while it did make the image look much better, I wasn't really getting any better animating it. So if you're going to decide on a hardware upgrade, just know that it probably won't make you a better filmmaker. While it does offer you a better option to tinker around with creatively, you probably remain the same. In my case, I saw the free stop-motion app as a training wheel, learning the utmost basic in the tools of the trade for filming stop-motion video, and test myself to see if I have the patience and aptitude for it. I made the conscious decision for the upgrade, mainly because I already own a DSLR and have been sitting on the thought of using something that allows me to gain access to more manual control. The upgrade decision was a natural progression for me as I already took the time to learn the hardware even before learning the craft of stop motion. Now, does it mean you have to upgrade as well? Well, if you have the resource to do so, along with the space to store them, maintain them, a purpose for having them, a genuine interest and time to properly learn the hardware and software, well, I don't see a reason why you shouldn't upgrade. Better gear will make your videos look better, but less capable hardware shouldn't stop you from delivering your story, your idea to your audience. This is something that I learned from watching Casey Neistat's vlog and also reinforced through practice, and that is
story is king. Everything serves the king. All of this is just here to serve the story.
But for the most part, just use what you have access to. And while we're on the topic of accessibility, I want to bring your attention to this word, open source. There are many tools out there that enables us to make videos and tell stories, and if you're into free software and alternatives from the popular ones, open source software are your best bet. But if you have the cash to spend to invest on a decent software, something like a Steam launcher, yes, the place where you probably store your games, have the alternative if you're shopping around for software. Steam have the tools that sometimes goes on sale and might be worth checking it out. Just remember to do your own research before purchasing. Personally, I use Final Cut Pro because it fits my workflow and it's a software that reminds me of Windows Movie Maker, which is how I learned video editing. Since my daily driver is a MacBook Air from my uni days, I tend to use Final Cut Pro for both my personal and stop motion projects. Although editing stop motion and live animation is very different, they are largely the same in many aspects. One of the obvious differences is filming and editing in different frame rates. And I want to spend time in talking about my thoughts on filming in different frame rates. Some time ago I mentioned that high frame rates doesn't necessarily mean better animation. Filming in any specific frame rate usually is done with purpose, and it also reflects the level of experience of the animator. On the surface, having higher frame rates will make your animation better and probably smoother, but only when it's done right. Let me demonstrate with bodycoon walking. Here is 12 FPS or animation in 2s. Here is 24 FPS or animation in 1s. If this was my first time filming in stop motion with no prior experience. Now let's compare them side by side. Which one do you prefer? Which one is smoother and looks better? I show this to demonstrate that filming in higher frame rates doesn't necessarily mean better animation. Filming with different frame rates enables you, the animator, to convey a particular situation or circumstances. However, an inexperienced animator filming with more frame rates will magnify their mistakes, which they might have overlooked. For me, at least, when I started stop motion, the notion of 24 FPS was quite intimidating to me, as I don't know if I have the patience to film in long durations. So I wanted to start things slow and at my own pace. I set the free app on my iPhone to 10 frames per second and slowly increased to 12 when I'm more confident, and with each trial and error, eventually got myself to 15 FPS. And I remember that 24 FPS was still intimidating to me, so I decided to challenge myself and slowly learn how to get to 20 frames, and now I'm comfortable in filming in 24 FPS. Yes, it was a gradual process and it took a ton of practice to get there, but I did. And what I learned is that it really depends on what I want to show you, the audience, and it does vary from one factor to the next, such as distance or if it's action heavy, etc, etc. In my opinion, filming in 24 FPS or higher should be a goal, but never be something that chains you down or preventing you from doing what you want. If you like the look of 12 to 15 FPS, nothing should stop you from doing what you want. It's your own work and your own journey. And yes, while interpolation is a thing, I personally wouldn't use it excessively unless there is a reason to do it. There is a video by the YouTube animator Noodle, who has more experience and able to explain this far better than I can regarding why higher frame rates at the cost of interpolation into the animation is not really better. Links to his video down in the description if you're interested in that. Personally, I think interpolation is a great tool, and while it is designed for live action, especially in key moments, similarly, visual effects can help enhance your storytelling, but in an excessive use, it makes the impact dull, eventually defeats the intended purpose, and gets incredibly boring fast. But perhaps you're not the type to cut corners, and maybe you just want to get good and level up your experience as an animator. Well, let me share with you in this section on my own methods and thoughts on how to get good. Practice. Okay, maybe you heard this many times. Just keep practicing, you'll get good eventually, and maybe you even practice many times already, and if so, let me try to sell it to you as simple as I can. When you put your many hours in practice, at some point you'll get bored practicing, and you might take 1 out of 3 choices. You can either give up, stay bored practicing, or you can find ways to make it interesting. Whether that be new ideas or adding more effort to make it smooth, even just a simple walk like this on screen can tell a story if your subject is walking happily or dragging their feet to make it look sad. Small difference you make during practice can mean a whole lot of discoveries. Alright, maybe at this point you already know what to do. You might even finish several videos yourself, and at some point you'll ask, what do I need to focus to get better? Maybe cinematography, maybe set design, choreography. These are all valid questions, and I would usually follow by asking, why? What do I need to improve on this? Is it because I'm not very good at it? Is it because it'll make my production easier? And even more importantly, do I have the time and interest to learn these? Understanding your own self can help position yourself and maybe even plan for the next step. Things like, what type of learner are you? What interests you more? I will use myself as an example. I am a kinesthetic learner. I know I'm not very good at writing, but I also know I can move better than I can draw. So instead of writing down long forms of script, I first acted out in order to internalize not just the movement, but the idea or story itself. Another obvious way to get better is to watch more similar works and absorb as much as you need to help inspire you. Having a maker's eye is important as it allows you to tell what's good from a particular video and why it works the way it did. Watch and experience enough content, whether it be a video game, a skit, or podcast, you'll sometimes find some information gem like this.
Head movement is just a form of expression. No matter where you live in this world, people express themselves in their own unique way, whether through facial expressions, hand gestures, body movement, extra words.
Now, I wasn't really paying much attention to this as I was doing other mundane things when I heard it, but as I heard it, though as obvious as it might seem, these are some of the information or reminder that you can turn into tools for your own video. Maybe some of you might already be doing this, but these 2 keys here are what I use the most when watching and study animation and videos that got me curious. If you don't know what these two keys are, they allow you to do a frame through or watch them frame by frame on YouTube when it's on pause. I don't know if it works on phone, but if you're on a desktop or a laptop, pause this video and try it out yourself. Here is Ken Arthur, an animator on the Tres Taste podcast, talking about exactly that.
Right. Watch the movement, okay. You analyze the movement like that, frame by frame. Every animator is doing like that.
I originally titled this next section as Watch Nature, but maybe observe live and all possible details is more accurate. While animation is great, nothing will teach you more than actual life itself. The best thing is, it's free. Even with my limited experience, what I think is that people want to see what you can offer to the table. Not a perfect copy of someone else's idea, but one of your very own. This is what I can share with you for now and what personally I have learned so far. At the end of the day, what I'm creating here in this channel is just art and entertainment, and not something definitive. I still have so much to learn and I'm aware of that, but I hope that this guide does help you in any shape or form. I know that this isn't much of a tutorial video because it isn't. If you're interested solely in the hardware, tutorials, and moving parts of the channel, go check out part 2 when it's out. If you're watching this from the start, I want to thank you so much and let me know what you think. I hope this video helped you in any way, and let me know if it did help you or if it's completely boring. If it did help you in any small way, I hope I earned your sub, and if you do enjoy it, feel free to click the like button. This video took a bit longer to make as I'm doing my best to make it entertaining while also informative, so I hope you stick around to watch the next part as well. That's it from me, I'll see you in part 2.